All right, and we're ready to start here. Hi, everyone, today, and thank you for attending. Today's briefing is on the top 250 most popular early stage ventures in digital health. My name is Lawrence, and I'm the GM of North America for Galen Growth, the global leader in digital health, private market data, intel, and insight. Our platform, HealthTech Alpha, is the world's leading platform digital private market data, intel, and insight used by leading pharmaceutical companies, healthcare systems, insurers, investors, consulting companies, medical device companies, and so on. The platform powers our Fortune 500 advisory work and our sought after thematic reports. Please see our research page to download those reports. As for the platform, it has more digital health venture data than any other platform, approximately 16,000 digital health ventures and over 300 million data points. The platform has best in class taxonomy and targeting and tagging and better search results than even Google. All of this is backed by our team of unmatched experts. Again, as I mentioned, today's discussion is going to be centered around our list of top 250 most promising early stage ventures in digital health. We do this report as our corporate clients want to know what are the most promising digital health ventures are and who they should keep an eye on. We also do it as we are experts in digital health, and we want to help create awareness of all the digital health ventures that are out there in the ecosystem, so that they may drive change and improve healthcare for everybody. I have with me today Sara, and Sara, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, gladly. Thanks, Lawrence. I'm Sara Schmachtenberg, head of data and analytics for Europe and North America. I also lead all the research efforts for Galen Growth, and that's why I was invited here today to tell you guys about the HealthTech 250, the list we made on the most promising early stage digital health ventures in 2022. Now, Lawrence, this was a list that we made in November of 2022. We do plan to make it an annual event. So this November, we'll again reevaluate, right, those hot topics and look at the ventures that are really excelling. And just to mention, we are looking at early stage ventures. So we're looking through the Series A ventures, and we're not looking at ventures that have raised beyond the Series A.
Okay. Well, why don't we kick this right off? So how do we go about selecting these ventures, and what makes these ventures high potential? Why should they be on our radar screens?
Yeah, let me pull down here my screen. So I'm going to share my browser with you, which has, if I can get that right, which is, if you go to galengrowth.com and click on Digital Health 250 or HealthTech 250 at the top of the screen, you'll get to then the HealthTech 250 list. Lawrence, you asked about the criteria. Today we will be focusing in a little bit on those North American ventures, but it's a global list. And at Galen Growth, we have our HealthTech Alpha platform, and that platform focuses on private ventures that were incorporated after 2002 and fit into our digital health taxonomy. We'll talk a little bit about our definition of digital health later on in the discussion that we have. So here we really looked at, as mentioned before, the early stage ventures, and we used a few different metrics in order to rate those ventures. This is all data-based, Lawrence, right? There's nothing here opinion from our analysts. This is really based on the data. And the first metric that we looked at is the venture's relevance, right, to the top trending digital health topics of 2022. And once I jump into the list here, if you're in the platform, you can click on download the HealthTech 250. It'll take you to the HealthTech Alpha platform. I've already opened that up for us. And when we start talking about the trending topics of 2022, we have I've filtered a list here for the US. And what you see is the topics that were really on the top of everyone's mind in 2022. Telemedicine, teleconsultation, right? And that's still continuing from that pandemic period where a lot of it went to remote teleconsultation. And then going into medical imaging, right? There's a lot of excitement around the potential that AI has for implementing medical imaging and diagnosis tools. And then, of course, hospital health management systems in order to improve the efficiency, right, of our health systems, of our hospitals, an HCP job board, right? You just look through the top clusters and categories of that HealthTech 250 list, and it resonates, right? It says, yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about in 2022. So that's the first criteria. Go back. The second criteria is the Ventures Alpha score, right? And that's Galen Gross proprietary maturity assessment of digital health ventures. To tell you a little bit more about that, I'm going to jump into one of the ventures on the list, right? Just to show you the venture maturity, because we're only focusing on early stage ventures, right? We can look at which early stage ventures have really excelled, which are more mature than their peers. And by maturity, we look at, do they have products on the market? How many products, do they have any sort of regulatory approval? In particular, you see here our proprietary analytics on the left. This is a profile of a venture in our platform. And the alpha score is 68.5. That's made up of four elements. That's the momentum score, right? How fast the venture is growing, bringing products onto the market. The market score, how relevant is this particular venture to its market, and how strong is the market that it's in. The innovation score, looking at the venture's products and the relevance of those products to the ecosystem, right? Are they bringing out apps when it should be a medical imaging software, right? It doesn't quite fit. So it has to be, the innovation has to match the ecosystem it's in. And then finally, the financial strength of that particular venture. So all of those four things make up the alpha score. And that alpha score is one way that we rank the ventures for the HealthTech 250. Just to round out a discussion, let's dig a little bit deeper into Vidya Health. Partnership signal. That's looking at the partnerships that have been developed. And for this is a medical imaging, medical diagnostics solution for dentistry, right? Using AI to help interpret X-ray images. And so they've partnered with several different dental clinics or dental groups across the country, right? They themselves are located in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So they have above average partnership signal for an early stage venture. Their evidence signal is what is quite impressive for this particular venture, because if we go back to the product tab, you see that they have quite a long list of products that they brought into the market. These are medical device, registered medical devices. They're those AI software. And if we look, then you see then the regulatory the FDA registrations they have, as well as the 2 FDA approvals that they've collected, that they've achieved, right, for their particular products, as well as they own patents. So for a venture that's still a stage A venture, right, it's a pretty impressive profile that we see. So that's why they make it to near the top of the list in our HealthTech 250. But what other criteria are we looking at? Because we do have a list of 6 metrics. We talked about the number of partnerships, significance of those partnerships formed. Metric number 4, the rounds of investment, how many times they've raised funding. Metric number 5 is the total funding raised, right? And the gradient, that's compared to other ventures, right, in similar funding stages, in similar categories. And then finally, the funding and partnership velocity, right? How long has it been since that last funding raise, and how fast is that particular number growing? So those are the total metrics we used to look and to capture our HealthTech 250 for 2022.
Okay, is there any spotlight or highlights in the kind of categories that these ventures fall under? Or has it been pretty much across the board?
There are. If we look down, we can jump into a few more ventures a little bit later, but we have online a little bit of analysis of what's going on in with those particular ventures, right? Who they're partnering with. You know, the largest partnership group was with healthcare providers, which is actually the topic of a report that we'll be releasing next week on U.S. health systems and digital health, and the way digital health is playing into the U.S. health systems. So if you guys are interested, make sure to check back onto HealthTech Alpha or check on the Galen Growth Research page next week to download the health systems report. But I got distracted. Most representative clusters. Lawrence, you talked about any patterns that we see or any top performing clusters. Now, when we talk about clusters, we get into our taxonomy and the way that we describe digital health. So let me jump over to actually our North America report that we published earlier this year. But in any of our reports, we have our digital health taxonomy, and this is the way that we look at digital health, right? This is how Galen Growth classifies any ventures and says whether or not they are a digital health venture. So the clusters are in the bright colored boxes. Below those, they're separated into different categories. And that's what we're looking at. Are any of those clusters kind of overrepresented in this particular list? And in fact, the most represented clusters are, the top spot was health management solutions, right? And those are the EHR backbone, or not the EHR backbones. Those are the digital backbones, right, for hospitals, for health systems, for clinics, in order to implement digital health solutions. It also includes EHR and personal health records, as well as prescriptive analytics, right? So we all know that was the topic of trying to make health systems more efficient as they're having a bit of a staffing crisis and reaching funding shortages. So health management solutions took the top. Medical diagnostics took second place. Again, we talked about that before. Those the importance that AI is beginning to play into interpreting medical imaging, you know, and looking through genomes, right, entire genomes to find trends, right? That's all in the medical diagnostics cluster. And then tied with medical diagnostics was patient solutions, and those are a lot of the disease management solutions, right? The patient apps that they can track and use to understand their symptoms. Right, so those are the top three. And if we jump back into the HealthTech 250, you'll see the clusters on your left. Telemedicine also was, I think, number 4, but the medical diagnostics, health management solutions, those clusters come up quite often in the top ventures. And if I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see we did a list of 250 ventures, right? The list was global because at Galen Growth, we look across the globe, in Asia Pacific, in the Middle East, including Israel, Western Europe, North America, and South America. And so of that 250 ventures, 67 of them were founded in the United States. So a good proportion, let's see, that's what, about a little more than a fifth, 20% of the ventures were actually in the US.
So we took a look at the most represented cluster, but what about the most represented, therapeutic areas that we see in this?
Yeah, that also, we looked at that, and you can see here the therapeutic focus areas for each particular venture. At a high level, the target therapeutic areas, we do have 78 therapeutic areas categorized in HealthTech Alpha. Within the HealthTech 250, we saw that mental health and oncology were the most represented therapeutic areas. So the ones that came up most often. Of course, mental health was had a very strong year in 2021, 20 and 2021. It was the top therapeutic area for venture funding. 2022, now oncology took the top spot back from mental health, because oncology used to be the top performer, and then the pandemic came along. Mental health jumped into the top, and now as we're coming to the tail end of the pandemic, oncology went back on top. So that's actually what we see again in the HealthTech 250. That actually those two therapeutic areas and women's health, jumped into the top as far as the HealthTech 250. And we do see a lot of women's health. If we go back to the actual list itself and look, we can see the top women's health. For example, Blue Note Therapeutics has a variety of solutions for different disease areas. Otherwise, I don't see any for the US, actually, other women's health, but if we could actually, I know we're focused on the US today, but just to show you the power of our platform, right, and being able to, it's really made to be as user-friendly as possible. And therefore you can search through tables just like you would in, for example, Excel. And then you can see there the list of different countries actually hosting different solutions for women's health, right? In particular, gynecology, fertility, other women's oncology topics are really mostly what we're looking at when we look into digital health. So those are the therapeutic areas. I would like to jump into, we talked about Blue Note, or mentioned Blue Note Therapeutics. So just to feature some of the ventures that we did look at, because we're very proud to be able to show off some of these ventures, because they're very young ventures. Oftentimes, Blue Note Therapeutics is now 4 years old, almost 4 years old. So not old solutions, and the more they can get their name and get their information into the eyes and ears kind of corporate, the better they are positioned to actually make a difference to patients, right? And that's why we look at the partnerships, because we know that's key for these particular ventures to get their solutions into market. We don't work with any of these ventures directly. Many of them come to us to give us information. But as I mentioned, the HealthTech 250 is purely based on data, and there is no sort of opinion or preference given to any particular ventures.
We have no bias.
we really don't. We let the data do the talking here.
The data speaks for itself. Yeah.
Yeah. But Blue Note Therapeutics, again, above 50 alpha score. The partnership signal is way to the right, is super strong, and you can see why, because if we go to the partnership tab here, you can actually have not only a chronological view, but also a view by industry vertical, and you see that they're partnering with a lot of digital health, or several digital health ventures themselves, which is key to kind of the whole interoperability and platform topic, right? The idea that one of the biggest complaints you get from healthcare systems, from patients, is that there are lots of point solutions in digital health, right? We talked about this in our platforms report last year, and the more that the ventures can work together and kind of make cohesive solutions, the better adoption you're going to get. As well, many institutions, academia, that includes hospitals, and we see Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, which is one of the, I believe, one of the top 10 health systems for digital health partnering, and therefore they then rank very highly in the partnership signal, and as well a cancer support community, so a nonprofit, right? So they have a nice big spread of partnerships, and as well are partnering with some very big names. So that's why they get that high partnership signal, evidence signal. Then they have, as well, they've run clinical trials. I've finished one, and are recruiting, right? So huge effort for for a Series A venture.
All right.
Right. So
Well,
I highly encourage you guys, to jump into galengrowth.com, click on that HealthTech 250.
I
On the top.
posted it up in the chat, so
Oh, there you go.
you'll find it.
Yeah.
You find it up in the chat. I posted the link up there. So again, as Sarah was saying, we'll be releasing this again in the fall. The top 250 again in the fall. And as Sarah also said, check out next week the report that we'll be releasing at Vive on the healthcare systems. And don't forget to check out the HealthTech Alpha platform.
Yes, and one more note, Lawrence, if you know a fantastic, high-performing young venture that's not in the HealthTech 250 list, send us a note, and we'll make sure that they get evaluated for next year.
Absolutely. All right.
No
Thanks,
promise to
everybody.
be in the top 250, but thanks for joining.
Any questions from anybody before we wrap this up? Apparently not. I don't see anything coming in. So thank you, Sarah. Thanks everybody for attending.
Thanks.
We'll see you all next time.